good people? It's your boy Icarus Gray.
And it's your homeboy Wordplay TJ.
And this is the No Rhyme or Reason podcast, where we talk about everything.
Everything for no reason at all. And we're live.
Yeah. What's good, people? It's your boy Icarus Gray.
And it's your homeboy Wordplay TJ.
And this is the No Rhyme or Reason podcast, where we talk about everything.
Everything for no reason at all.
You are watching UBN.
What? We're back for the new year.
Hello, everyone.
And we have an exciting show full of controversial topics, I would say. And I'm excited for that. Sorry, Kendall, we are not going to talk about Collie Grove or Welcome to Collie Grove. I wanted to talk about that album.
Yep.
That's not the direction we're going. So I appreciate you listening, bro, and I'll see you at work.
But it'll probably be one of the albums we try and review.
Don't make any promises. Kendall will hold it too.
Oh, no.
he will be like, but you promised.
How's your year been so far, my man?
Sleepy. It has been a sleepy year. That's how I felt. I've been trying to regain my appetite. I was sick during the winter break.
Oh, no.
But bounce back. If you watch Hell's Kitchen with Gordon Ramsay, you know what that reference is to. Bounce back. Yeah, I just, after the break, I have not felt myself. But I have been very productive business-wise. I got some goals up there for us. We need to get to our 1,000 subs, and I think we should have like 10K views a month at the very least. So
yeah.
That's why we're here doing these topics in the first place, is to entertain the individuals that subscribe to us. So thank you for that. Watch the entire video on Patreon. So patreon.com/No Rhyme or Reason podcast, or NROR podcast. Sorry, I keep messing up URL, but
it's down in the description for you.
Yeah, the point is, we want you to consume everything that we make and support us as best as you possibly can. So you want to get started with Mr. Williams?
Yeah, let's get started with Mr. Cat in the Hat, a.k.a. Katt Williams.
Mr. Cat in the Hat. That's a funny part to start with, right?
Yeah.
Number one, like, he sat down with Shannon Sharpe
On a Club Shay Shay.
Club Shay Shay, had a 3-hour interview with Shannon. It's hilarious. It is serious. It is also very controversial. And in the midst of this interview, he discloses that Disney, of all people, I mean, it makes sense. If you've ever been to like one of their theme parks, it makes sense.
Yeah.
They run a tight ship there. They sued Katt Williams because his first moniker was Cat in a Hat with a K. So I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but like, Disney, calm down.
Calm down. Y'all just lost the rights to Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Calm down. If you ever go to a park, or if you've ever been to a park, why is it doing this? If you've ever been to a park, they're really restrictive, even with what you can search on the internet while you're there. So much so that, like, if you're on their Wi-Fi network,
oh no,
and you try to like search up, let's say, something that Disney doesn't like,
twerking.
No. Why are you going there? If let's say you search up not The Simpsons. That's not a good example because they're at the same park.
Is Walt Disney Frozen?
No, say you try to look up a South Park clip.
Oh.
Where Mickey Mouse was on the South Park episode.
Oh, yeah.
If you try to watch that while you're at the park, it will be blocked if you're on their network.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That's how controlling of the environment that they are.
Nah, bro, that's nuts. But Katt spent 3 hours going in on Cedric the Entertainer, Steve Harvey, Ricky Smiley, said some things about Michael Blackson, Gary Owen,
Tiffany Haddish,
Kevin Hart,
Wanda Sykes,
Wanda Case.
And, well, he said, I love Wanda Sykes. But then they kept talking about Wanda without clarifying exactly which Wanda they were talking about. So.
And they meant the Wanda Case, because that was the interview where he just was talking about everything with her. Faison Love took some shots at Ludacris. Hollywood took some shots at Chris Tucker. The list goes on. Like, it was a 3-hour interview, and he Diddy, TD Jakes,
Harvey Weinstein. Rightfully so, but like
it was all over the place.
At least, yeah. So I think people have a lot of opinions on that, but we want to share that. Like, I think we feel that Kevin in this video, I'm sorry, not Kevin, but Katt in this video was so right that he's wrong.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna kind of break down some points that we think about, Katt Williams being so right that he's absolutely wrong. So let's start with comedians.
So a lot of what he was saying was in response to the interviews that those comedians had on Club Shay Shay. And things that they had ended up saying about him when certain questions were posed to them. Now, I don't think any of them took like direct shots, but spoke on the stealing jokes thing that they had said, which apparently Katt had given them a pass in regards to, like, they came and apologized, and it was like, oh, okay, it's all good. Why are we still talking about it, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so Katt comes in with a full clip of responses basically to all these different actions. And a lot of what it sounded like in different spots was, yeah, you're telling truth, but there does seem to be a tinge of bitterness in the middle of all of this. Whether people agree with that or not, it just is so. So
my thought on this is, like, if Katt is telling the truth, and based off of just kind of my feelings, my vibes on the situation, he might have had some, like, facts and some specifics wrong at some certain points, or misspoke at certain points. But if he's right, you should just live in the fact that you're right, and not have to, like, worry about the situation being so wild that I just don't think you have anything to prove as Katt Williams.
I don't either. I think that a lot of this ends up kind of boiling down to two different points that he was trying to make. Because I think he was talking about Kanye and how, like, weird we thought Kanye was and everything, right? The thing that's similar between the two of them, because he was like, well, we all called him a genius and da-da-da. Like, yeah, we did, because he does do genius level things in terms of his artistry. Same thing with Katt. You are a genius level comedian in terms of your writing, in terms of your delivery, but you also say outlandish things at the same time.
Yeah. Can we pause for a second?
Yeah. So Katt, in and of itself, like I was saying, is just a brilliant comedian. I think he says a lot of outlandish things from time to time, and it's like he kind of forgets in certain instances that it's like it feels like an accountability issue sometimes.
Why would Katt need to be accountable? I'm trying to figure out, like,
So in a lot of different situations, so say like with the industry stuff. So he talks about the industry in regards to the fact that all of this Illuminati stuff, all the stuff that he turned down, all the stuff that people were trying to do, and then seems to chastise people for accepting opportunities and basically saying that the only way that they could have gotten these opportunities is because he turned them down, and then they basically did whatever. Like the only way they got them is accepting whatever was offered to them. So they had to, perform whatever sexual acts they had to perform with these people to get these opportunities.
They had to do something devious to get it. I don't know what that has to do with him, though. His accountability.
Well, he makes it seem like in a lot of different ways that it's like just the industry. Like he's had no slips or blips, not done something in terms of his professionalism with these situations. So, it's a me versus them always.
So are you saying that it sounds like he's never made those types of compromises?
It seems like he's acting as though he's standing on business, so to speak.
I'm standing on business.
Standing on business.
I'm putting a clip in there. I got it.
But also, it's like, for all you criticize people for, is that really the position that you need to be criticizing people for when you have, missteps that you've taken as well?
I think when you talk about his missteps or his accountability, I feel like it's more so you are Katt Williams and you hold yourself to a higher regard. You have this moral compass that seems more authentic and integral than the individuals that you work with or have worked with or that dish you. And if you have that type of integrity, you don't really have to talk about these individuals. That's the accountability I think about. Is that like you're accountable for not for actually saying something when you don't have to say nothing.
Yeah, I can see that.
Or you're accountable for the relationship not working out in some sort of way, because a relationship's always two ways. So you're accountable for what your half of the relationship is. They're accountable for whatever they did to trespass on you.
Yeah, and I think it's an accountability.
Or sorry, they're accountable for what they did to trespass you, not him.
True. But it's also an accountability to understanding the power in which you wield. Like, yes, a smart person can say dumb things. And the onus isn't always on that smart person to be careful with their words, because you as people should be able to go and research and go and do things, which is a lot of what we're not doing in this day and age.
Yeah.
But the power you wield of like what you say, because he's such a brilliant entertainer. This whole 3 hours was entertaining. The whole 3 hours. Like, it wasn't a moment where I'm like, oh man, I don't care what he has to say next. It's like, no, I'm listening. I'm trying to see. I'm picking through. I'm going, like, you're feeling the emotions of like, oh wow, that's a little harsh, or oh wow, that doesn't seem realistic, but this is entertaining to me. So I
think he's accountable for the outcomes of this interview. Yeah. Right. So you were saying before we started that no matter what Kevin Hart does, or no matter what Steve does, or no matter what does in response to Katt, they're going to be in the court of public opinion. They're going to be wrong and they're going to be right.
Yeah, it's just going to be the catch-22 of, like, because I see it all through the comments. They like, but they didn't say he was lying. And if he did, and if they did, I should say, like, it wouldn't mean anything. It's not like you're going to care. It's going to be like, well, of course they're going to say that.
Well, yeah, people are going to
move the goalposts.
People are going to take whatever conclusion they want to take from it and go for it. And he's had that experience himself. people believed that he was on drugs and he was wilding out.
Yeah.
And whether or not that's true or not, because everybody does not know if that's true.
Right.
Some people know. Some people know if it's true or not. But the majority of us that comment about it don't know.
No. And so many of us like are not in these rooms or just, I was talking about this with my wife last night. A lot of people are just in the revenge mind state of waiting for somebody to slip. Like a lot of people didn't like Kevin Hart as is. So
it's like revenge porn.
Huh?
Sort of like, I say that in not the specific term of what that definition actually is, but like people that are so hell bent on negative consequences.
Yeah.
That it feeds them. It actually I'm going to go out of my way to seek out like Real Housewives or like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of, I'm going to go out of my way to go find some negativity so I can feel good.
And that's a lot of what this was. Like, even as a response, there were so many moments where he would like bring up God and how he's like, I'm just a bringer of truth and this is what I'm supposed to do, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't like the in and out folks that use religion to your feelings. Like, while doing something that wouldn't be biblical on majority of whatever you subscribe to, like it just wouldn't be what you need to do or how you need to respond. Like there's telling the truth, and then there's like disrespecting people while trying to act like you're not.
Well, the way I see that is he is using whatever form of faith that he has as a way to come off as more morally in the right.
Yes.
But the reality is, no matter what your faith is, if you're not morally in the right, you're just not in the right. And the wrong thing to do is to, when you're Katt Williams, go down this road as if you need to be that.
Yeah, because he's way more...
he's talented.
Way more talented than...
He's gifted.
Than the action.
He is successful.
Mm-hmm.
Like the reason why he's even on this show in the first place is because Shannon's not going to sit down with somebody that doesn't have some clout to their name.
Yeah.
And the reason why he's sitting down in the first place is because he earned it.
Yeah.
And to say anything about his relationships, whether it's wrong or right, and I believe that most of what he's saying is the truth. You don't always have to say the truth in order for it to be true.
I mean, like, yeah, and it's such a strange thing where we are, because it's not like if he had came on and just done like the positive things, because he did a lot of positive things in there, like shouting out a lot of the younger comedians of Desi Banks, Just Hilarious, and the rest. That was a big thing that you don't have to do. Like this thing then got 7 million views within a day. And that's like promo for them that he didn't have to do. The things that he does for other comedians in terms of the money that he would give other comedians. Deion Cole did an Instagram post talking about that thing. About some girl walking up to him and giving him money. Just because he appreciated what it was they were doing. Boosie came out and said that when he got out, Katt gave him a little money. So you do not have to talk about the good things you do to like garner anything. But I also know it's just like, I'm not going to play with fire when I don't need to. And especially when it's like, I don't think in those interviews that said or any of them were like coming at him crazy. As far as I remember.
So I watched I've watched Steve and Ced's interviews many like weeks ago. When I watched those interviews, I didn't feel like there was anything negative about those interviews. I didn't feel like there was anything about those interviews where they were trying to like purposefully or come at somebody.
Right.
In any of those talks. Steve talked about himself most of the time. And the same was said. So
and he was just like, well, why did you let them lie more so about the situation? It's just like, bro.
Well, that's not his job to be an investigative journalist. Shannon Sharpe is not an investigative journalist. He's an athlete that is now a journalist. You know what I mean? He's not trying to uncover the truth.
But also, what is the point? So say we get on here and say when he asked him the question about did you steal the joke, he just says, yes. And I'm very sorry for it. What does that do? For one, even admitting it, especially in comedy, because we know what jokes stealing is one of those you just don't do. And you are stamped as like a terrible person, especially within, the black comics and everything else. I remember when golly, what is her name on the black lady on SNL?
I know who you're talking about.
But she stole a joke, or supposedly stole a joke from comedian
Leslie.
Yes, Leslie Jones. Stole a joke from this comedian Precious, apparently. And there was like a lot of stuff going on about that.
The mic.
No, there was a lot of stuff going on about that. My bad. And it was just one of those things where it's like your perception can be ruined in 3 seconds. We see that with Jonathan Majors, which he made jokes about as well.
I don't know though. Like your public perception can be shifted, but your bags don't have to go away.
No, they don't. Like Dane Cook is still making money.
Martha Stewart went to federal prison.
Yeah.
She still got money. She's still successful. Paula Deen.
Yeah.
Like the realities of people being canceled is not as strong as everybody thinks it is.
No, the internet is not a real place.
I think when you're powerful, you're already powerful, and folks go to cancel you. It's not as strong as people think it is.
Right. Let's bring some hip hop into this,
please.
Just because we have it. In the fact that he also mentioned Luda.
Yeah.
And Luda had a response. And
I actually want to find Luda's.
Do you?
Luda's
verse. Let's do it.
Yeah. We might not be able to play this on YouTube, but
audio listeners, you get to have a treat. But what's funny about it is, again, all the comments are, well, did he never said he was lying. Y'all know y'all are the most unsatisfied goalpost moving people in the world. Like, even if he put it in there, it wouldn't matter. Y'all don't care. You know you don't care.
What do you mean?
So if he says he was lying, it's like, I don't know. Much like Katt said in the Williams. Katt said in the interview, he was like, the truth needs no motivation. Neither does a lie.
Yeah, I just don't know that when it comes to Ludacris, why do you have to talk about this man and his wife?
I didn't get that either. Like, he was talking about everybody's wives.
What does this mean? What are you trying to imply about Ludacris? It sounds like he's trying to imply that Hollywood is doing devious things in order for people to be successful. But who's gonna believe that about Ludacris? And why do you have to say it? Does it matter?
I didn't get that.
Does it matter to anybody? For the most part, when it comes to Ludacris, probably not.
Yeah.
Here's the freestyle. I think we'll be able to hear it. Hold on. Okay.
Snoop's cannabis shredder, I'm always on my grind. They throwing shade cause niggas could never take my shine. I bring my watch collection on my jet, let me take my time. Like fine wine, I'm aging like Benjamin. Top 5, I'm worth mentioning. Bring me rappers, I'm lynching them. See the pendulum swing, Jesus with diamond thorns. Ludicrous, swaddled in Gucci linens when I was born. Never been Illuminati, only Illuminati. And I only left with bitches when coming from any party. Now I'm married with kids, the evolution of life. Never been a clout chaser, never say shit for likes. R.I.P. John Singleton. You never have to flex when you earn every one of your Fast and Furious checks. Afro with the sideburns, yeah, that's my signature. Addictions on the rise, comedians check your temperature.
I mean,
Luda got bars.
like, and for a lot of people, like, y'all judge bars as if you write them.
What do you mean? What does that have to do with Katt Williams?
Meaning, okay, hold on, wait.
You going somewhere else?
No. The response. So I'm saying, like, a lot of people that have response. I'm talking about the response to Katt Williams. So this was the response to Katt Williams, and then it's like, well, he didn't say again that he was lying, even though the line about I earned every one of my.
So you're talking
Fast
about the
and
comment
Furious
section.
So I'm just talking about comments in general. I'm talking about the response to the response.
Let's focus on Luda. Let's focus because we've already. I feel like we have talked mad shit about the people, the society,
Yeah,
and we'd be 40 more minutes before we get off of them.
Luda's response was immaculate to the fact that it's just direct, simple, and shows why he's one of the best ever. Just point blank, period.
I think so. I think so too. I think Luda addressed exactly what needed to be addressed. Like he's basically like, get off me, get off my wife, get off this, and I earned this. I did this the way that that worked for me, and every one of my checks are mine. So,
yeah. Then the last thing I think we were talking about is Ice Cube's response to some claims that he made about Friday After Next, where he was talking about Ricky Smiley and the fact that he was making it seem like Ricky Smiley had no chance whatsoever to be Money Mike, when it was that Ricky Smiley actually did audition for the role, and then they did choose Katt, but he had an audition, meaning he saw the lines, meaning he went out for it.
Yeah. So I think Ice Cube helps, even though I watched the clip. Ice Cube, I love you, and we're similar in demeanor, but Ice Cube so sleepy on this.
Yeah.
Ice Cube, come on.
Man.
He is the epitome of his rap name.
Yeah.
Chill at all times. He is like so chill, so chill that like it's almost like sluggish.
But it's like
he came on. He's like, here. What's up, y'all? This Cube. I just want to address. Yeah. I just want to talk about Katt and some of the things that Katt said. Hey, you know what I mean? Like,
it was, but it was in the way of somebody that's like, let me get out the way of all of this because I need people to stop hitting my line.
I don't think Cube moves like that. I feel like Cube moves at his own time.
No, yeah, for sure, 100%.
At his own pace.
Because he didn't speed up at all.
And yes, people may be hitting his line, but I don't think that motivates Cube at all.
Yeah, but I don't want my name in the midst of all of this. Like 7 million views, like is moving everybody to at least say something. And like the quick distinctions that he made, because Katt claimed that the original scene with him and Terry Crews was a rape scene. And
We can't say that on YouTube.
Oh, we can't. I forgot about that. He said it was
an assault scene.
An assault scene. And they took the assault scene.
He did say it, but I'm just saying.
Oh no, I got what you're saying. Because
we can't say it.
I got you. And so they changed the assault scene into what it became. And it's just like, Cube was like, bro, no. Like, I would have never put that scene in there. Like, that don't even make sense to any of the movies that Cube has done. Like, it's just not something that he would have done. But it was an exaggeration to...
What's the one where he's, like, driving somewhere with his kids? Ride Along? No, that's not Ride Along.
You just called Kevin Hart his kid.
I mean, he could be. You know?
Oh, man.
I don't know what it's called.
I can't remember.
What's the movie with Ice Cube and the kids?
Oh, my God. Like, oh, my God.
Anyway.
Yo. Why are you like this? But
are we there yet?
Yes, but clarifying the response. Like, you can't make "Are we there yet?" and then try and put this in your movie.
Right.
Like, it just don't make sense. And it's a way of like, when he was bringing up all these different things about wearing dresses and all the stuff that we've often criticized as a community about, like, whether it was Tyler Perry, Martin Lawrence, and all these different movies. Eddie Murphy. It was like, why do they have to do this to sell a movie? Like, they have to do this because they have to be emasculated before they'll be able to be successful.
But I think that comes with that. That is always a conspiracy. Eddie Murphy was Eddie Murphy before he did any of that.
Yeah. Same with Martin. Martin was Martin before Big Mama's House. Like, Bad Boys was way before Big Mama's House.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think people misinterpret a comedy trope with something that is a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, because we don't do that to Robin Williams.
Right.
Yeah.
Freaking Tom Hanks.
Ted Danson.
Like, no.
You like, know what I mean? He's still like a heartthrob. Like, he doesn't lose Cheers because he did that movie, I think, with John Leguizamo.
I'm sorry. Look, I watched Mrs. Doubtfire 10 million times as a kid.
They showed it to us. Seemingly, it felt like every year at our elementary school.
I have never in my life felt like putting on a dress.
Ever.
So the thought that, like, oh, this is going to influence people to do something that they are not.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But to wrap this up, like, I enjoyed the interview. My only gripe that I'm saying is just the inconsistencies of stuff, of making it seem like a lot of people were just making these devious choices. Hollywood is a devious place, and they do a lot of stuff. But success, we got to stop tying everybody that we, quote unquote, don't like success to just the worst things that we can possibly think of for them to have gotten that.
So here's my opinion on that. I feel like the world is full of people that could either be morally just or morally corrupt. Hollywood oftentimes is an exaggeration of taking regular human beings that are in either one of those camps and amplifying those individuals.
Yeah.
And so I think Hollywood gets a bad rap when the reality is that, no, it's just us. It's just us as people that are either in, and I don't want to really either or it type of thing, because I think that people are generally just flawed and overall. But there are some people that lean into those flaws a little bit more, and then there's other people that choose not to lean into those flaws, at least purposefully.
I perfectly get what you're saying, because think about like football culture, right? Mm-hmm. If we as people didn't love football the way we love football, then when people have different allegations and all these different things that go on within that realm, you wouldn't be as mad as the person mad at whoever the accusers are, because you're taking away my fun. You get what I'm saying?
And let the person that is a perpetrator win games. Mm-hmm. If they're winning games, they're no longer a perpetrator because you're a fan of football.
Yeah. So long story less long. We are way more complicit in these things that we think that we're not, while trying to tell people, well, I bet you that's how you got successful. Did you create the atmosphere for that being the case?
Yeah.
Maybe you did. Maybe you didn't. But let's get on to something that's actually exciting.
So maybe a little backstory is important. How do we get here in the first place? Mm-hmm. I saw the Little Brother doc many weeks ago. This is after it's people had some time to sit with it, so it's a little late. But then I texted you. You saw something else with Little Brother and then decided to watch the doc. Mm-hmm. And then once we had a conversation, we're like, we got to talk about this. So that's what we're going to be spending the time doing for the rest of the podcast, is talking about the Little Brother doc called May the Lord Watch the Little Brother Story.
Which coincides also with their 2019 album of the same name, May the Lord Watch.
Nice. So I'm excited about this because it's just a great story, and everybody knows the story of Little Brother, or at least that fans of Little Brother know the story of Little Brother, mm-hmm. but didn't know it from this perspective. And I think I read a few articles, and even after the documentary, even after watching the documentary, people are still wondering, like, people still have this perception of Little Brother as, this is Pooh, this is Fonte, this is Ninth. That's never going to erase as the impression on my mind. And so I think our plan is to go and talk about different sections of this documentary and react to how the documentary unfolded. Yeah. So I think our first topic is how Little Brother met. Mm-hmm. So we'll watch a few seconds and we will we'll pause and then react to those clips. So let's do this.
Let's get it,
Brutus.
Let's get it.
I'm not calling you Brutus, by the way. I don't think you're gonna do me like that.
In 99 when times was hard. North Carolina Central, but we called it the yard. Cause niggas wasn't trying to study abroad. They was trying to study abroad, or 2 or 3 up in the dorms. Met my nigga Sean Don, then I started to ponder.
By the way, this is how Little Brother met. And so that's where we're starting at.
Fuck this, I'ma quit the football team tomorrow. Did shows around town and word got around and Battle and Tank was like yelling spick in Tijuana. Built my rep.
The dorm that we stayed in, Chile.
Wait a minute. I did not catch that line, and I did not hear that he made a racial slur there. But anyway, I'm not going down that road. Let's keep watching.
The RA, my man Joe Drama, he lived like right down the hall. Joe Drama used to have people in his room all the time, listening to music, talking about music, whatever. And Fonte comes in one day. I got this rhyme I wrote for English class, yo. I wanna spit that joint. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I remember to this day. It's called No Apologies. And when he finished, I was like, nigga, you wrote that? That's crazy. Like, I was always the music aficionado in my crew. When I got around Tay, I was like, I don't know shit. I was like, I want to know what he knows. And that was kind of the beginning of our relationship.
That's a dope story.
Dog is dope. I mean, it's kind of like us.
Is it?
That's all right.
You just walked in my dorm room, started spitting bars, and then I was like, nigga, I don't know shit.
So for our rapping thing, right? It was as simple as, yo, we want to try and do this talent show. Do you want to do it with us?
True.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like, yo, and I like...
You're saying that the random event.
And I had no knowledge of whether or not you rapped. I just knew you sang at the time.
Yeah. I think the way I introduced myself to you as a performer was I sang.
Yeah.
And at the time that is all I did. Even though I think between that time, that was maybe 2003, something like that.
2002.
Two? Okay. Even earlier. So between like 98 and 02, I had been writing bars too. I just never was ready to actually do it. But this is not about us. This is about this documentary.
It's dope, bro.
I think the meeting in this really organic way is impactful. I also want to know. I want to know how Ninth came into this. So maybe we can play a few more seconds.
We're all like in the commons area of the dorm, and I see this dude with a Source magazine. You know what I mean? And Source, it was like the holy grail kind of at that time. Hey man, let me see that joint. Let me see that. You know what I mean? He's like, all right. And so he's going through the mag, and I see we're liking the same shit.
Ninth is pretty much like me. I would have been that guy sitting around reading the Source. I would go in every magazine release. I would go and purchase the XXL, the Source. What is it? Complex.
Yeah.
I collected those three for sure.
Like, I'm on, like, yo, Most Def, Black on Both Sides. He like, oh, you know about that? I'm like, hell yeah, nigga, I know about this. We were on a lot of the same things, and we laughed at some of the same shit, too. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I meet Ninth. I think I saw him that day, and I don't think we saw each other again for months. By this time, I was living in the new dorm. This is the new residence, so, niggas, we done moved up and shit. So, he shows up, and he's like, yo, what up, man? I'm like, what up? He's like, yo, I got some shit I want to play for you. So I'm thinking it's some new exclusive, a new whatever. And he puts it in, he plays beats. I'm like, yo, this shit dope. Who this?
The same thing, which is that creation and trust. So the first thing is, Fonte comes in. I got this rap I wrote for English class. Mm-hmm. Then after their relationship, Ninth comes in. I got something I want you to hear. It's like, it's so organic how these things happen. And it's, man, this documentary just gave me chills in so many different ways when I was watching it because of how natural it all was.
I think everybody's point of view, or at least perception of how successful groups come together, is that they're very intentional. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes they're like happenstance and accidental. These are three individuals that end up at the same school who didn't know each other to begin with, and because of that circumstance have now formed this legendary group. And I think everybody always assumes that stuff happens on purpose and it's planned out.
He's like, this me. I was like, word? I said, yo, would you mind if I rhyme on this? He was like, you want to rap on this? I'm like, yeah, nigga, like, this shit go.
My melanin serves as proof of my indelible urge to marry ink and manuscripts, create incredible words.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of how they met and how that story really progressed.
The next thing I think I want to delve into with this documentary was, like, there's so many points and I'm trying to pick one. The Source. Or we're just going to
pick the next one, yeah.
Okay. So
that's how I got the things queued up.
So I'm gonna go in with people that are influenced directly by Little Brother. We didn't cut the Drake clip portion of it because I think that was earlier, where Drake consistently always talks about Fonte.
Yeah. So one of the people is Drake. There's like plenty of other people, but the doc highlights Drake and who else? What?
Kendrick is gonna show in the clip that we got.
So let's go ahead and check that out and then kind of react to those things.
Real recognize real, no matter where you from, no matter where you at. Nigga from all the way from North Carolina, come out here rocking with niggas from the West Coast all day, every day, anytime. Cause this is what it is, man. It's real.
That's humble. It's real.
It's real.
That's real.
Long term too.
At some point, you got to get out the way and stop trying to be the guy. And you got to develop the guy. You got to share that information. That's how we change the next generation, how we keep the art form alive. And once I explain it to them, like, man, success comes by you giving, right? You're giving the information, you're giving them your time, you're giving them your expertise. Now you just set yourself up to be around this industry for another 10, 15 years because you developed somebody else.
Yeah. And that was the power of their influence. It runs through so many different lanes because when we did the De La Soul review, same feelings, of what it was that they came to do. And they came to be the antithesis, oh, good God, to mainstream hip hop, to what was becoming overly digestible, to the club records. And Little Brother gave so much for what they would have considered the underground scene and artists that grew to a different stage in terms of their style, that it's one of those things where you gotta give it more respect and more honor than I think that we do.
When I think about Drake, and this is it, so we're talking about how people were influenced by Little Brother. Drake talks about it all the time in his interviews, how impressed with Fonte that he has been, or how his writing style developed by listening to Fonte early on. His mixtape before, what was that?
Before So Far Gone.
So Far Gone,
was,
yeah.
The comeback story.
Yeah, the comeback. Yeah, was something that was inspired by Little Brother, and so I think it is called The Comeback.
Comeback season.
Comeback season. Okay. And I felt that presence when I was on college radio and playing early Drake records.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got to college, that's when So Far Gone came out. Mm-hmm. And in the dorm room is when people were sharing that with me. And so I go download it, and then I'm on college radio, and then so I'm playing Drake and hearing essence of Fonte in his rhyme.
Yes, especially at that time, before the Wayne influence and other influences that he had. But you could definitely hear the Fonte, and man, it's just Little Brother is just one of those groups.
Most of the 1990s.
Let's get back on the source, and because we glossed over it a little bit in terms of them having a conversation and how important the source and you were saying Double XL Complex was, but what they did on the source, just let's do this.
Yeah.
The source for most of the 1990s and even into the 2000s was the most important organ of hip-hop journalism. The source developed this rating system for records and albums, the 5 mic system. And those 5 mics were coveted by artists.
Having 4 mics in the source was holy shit. And then having the hip hop quotable, I was like,
Damn.
Today, that would be like Anthony Fontano,
Yeah.
like reviewing an album we make, and then he's like, "This shit is fire."
I give it a very nice 5 out of 5 from Anthony Fantano. You know, like, but real talk, like,
Yeah.
or any of the, like, having that, or having universal, like, bloggers say this is a 5 out of 5 album.
Yeah, I just think the equivalent to what people would understand now, or kids would understand now, is like Anthony.
Yeah.
I don't know any other journal. Maybe Dead End Hip Hop. Maybe.
Yeah. Shout out to Dead End Hip Hop.
Given. Speaking of, they had the same conversation and published it like a day ago. So it's kind of like, oh gosh, we're on the right wavelength, but like I kind of wish we did it first. Anyway,
Yeah. But
they got 4 mics, sorry, which is highly coveted
on your first outing,
on an album that you made in a bedroom.
like your first, like, y'all don't understand, like, that's,
You didn't have a budget,
bruh.
You didn't go to a major studio. You made this album in a bedroom on a computer
Using Fruity Loops and samples.
Right.
Like, at a time where like, the way y'all use Fruity Loops now, or have used Fruity Loops,
It was shunned on at the time. Like, listen, man.
a Fruity
As a-
Loop beat?
So, as a producer, I wanna speak on this.
Go ahead.
Fruity Loops was my first platform that I used to make beats and instrumentals. And when I brought those instrumentals to school, it wasn't a lot of people, but a few people just really shat on my music.
The way you said
They shat on it in past tense.
But yeah,
They this is some of the things that they said though. These are video game beats. They don't sound real. You can't play an instrument. Like, you're not a real musician basically because you're using a computer to make beats. I think Ninth's advantage, because I wasn't sampling at the time.
right.
I was using virtual instruments and like literally playing the melodies that I wanted to create. But there were a lot of individuals that were. Are you about to play Game Over?
No, I was gonna credit your point where at that time, before they, like, because Lil Brother was known but not as known, because again it's an underground album, but with beats like Game Over in 2004, for people criticizing the beat sounding like a game, whereas literally that's the whole thing,
Right.
for Game Over.
So that's my point, is that like there were people criticizing me for what was actually winning in the industry at the time.
Yeah.
And now is the industry standard. And on my the Slap,
Yeah.
that record that I wrote, I said, been on Fruity Loops since before Fruit Loops. Like, like Steve Harvey in a zoot suit, I think is what I said. Something like that. Like, I was on this before it was the standard. And like I said, I was shat on heavily, even though like Game Over was winning. Lil Brother was winning. And so I don't know, maybe I'm a little sour about that. Maybe I'm a little bitter about that, but like, I don't know. I feel like I'm rightfully sour about that because the things that are created now, Fruity Loops is by far the industry standard for people making beats. And I don't feel like I deserve that.
Nah, not at all. I mean, like, because even the term Fruity Loop beat
Right.
was a term. Like,
Right.
you can't come here with these Fruity Loop beats. because of how it would like sound. But it's like once you like understood the mechanics of it, like Ninth did, the things that were available to you and how you could manipulate it, how you could change things, how you could add the samples in. It's like, no, this was an excellent program for growing producers.
I don't think it was until I started sampling, people started respecting what I was doing. So I think it came down to virtual instruments versus real instruments being used. And you have a little bit of an advantage if you're sampling stuff, but you also have a commercial disadvantage because your fans don't know that you still have to clear that sample.
Yeah.
And doing that as an independent artist is fucking impossible.
Oh, 100% impossible.
Until you get TrackLib today, right?
Yeah.
But I've said enough. I've been on the soapbox for a little bit. Their first tour, anything to kind of start this one off?
Nope, because it's just gonna be a story about us and how tours are insane. They are just insane.
I don't know if I want to go down that road.
About tours?
I want to talk about their tour.
No, that's what I'm saying. I said that's why I say.
Okay, tours.
I said I wasn't gonna talk about it. No.
Okay.
Just tours are insane.
Okay.
Like hearing this made me think
I'm
of
thinking
that tour.
I'm thinking pre-production talk. So
No.
I was afraid.
No.
We're gonna go on tour. He kind of loosely threw that out there. I'm like, "What's up? Did little brother get on there?" He's like, "That's what I'm thinking. That would be dope, right?" And I'm like, "That would be real dope."
The High Road Tour was big because that put them on the map to go touring, because High Road Tours, that's what they do. Yeah, so DJ, I done drove, I sold the merch, nigga, I managed, all that, I did all that shit.
Right before the High Road Tour happens, this is when Ninth gets the J call.
I think he called me before, like, yo, man, like, I'm about to meet Hove in 2 days, so call up and just see what the temperature is up there and all that stuff. So I went out and I gave Hove my message. He's like, yo, man, Ninth One just gonna play you some beats? He's like, yeah, he is. I said, yo, man, so good in there. And that's when I really had Hove's ear, like, okay. He came highly recommended. I remember he told me that not only was he able to give him a beat, but then Beyonce wanted a beat too for the Destiny's Child album. And so he was just totally like,
obviously, nigga go do that, right? Like, this Jay-Z. If you study hip hop, you know that if your producer's in a group, if your producer's worth a damn, they're gonna go on to do other things. You know what I'm saying? Preem was Preem outside of that, but he had Gang Starr. Dre was Dre, but he started in NWA, you know what I mean? So you always know that if you have a producer, they're gonna go on to do greater things.
What's funny about that though is a lot of artists in regards to that, especially with them, it didn't seem like they it felt like they understood it, but it also felt like they didn't at the same time.
Yeah, you're kind of foreshadowing. So I think when it came to Ninth's success, it like rubbed them. They weren't jealous, but they believed that he should have been with them a lot more in order to earn the title of being a Little Brother member.
Yeah, and there are very few like producers that we can like, because even if with all the people he mentioned, Dre was Dre, but then the stuff started happening in terms of the business with NWA.
Right. So you can't take Dre's NWA title away just because the business was bad with Suge Knight.
Yeah. But also you can't take away. It's hard with these producers and groups because any of the producers that are in groups weren't necessarily saying, hey, I don't want to produce anymore.
Right.
Like the business ended up being bad or the relationships ended up being bad and then they went on to do other things.
Yeah. And Guru passed away. So like,
yeah,
there's no equivalent for that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how many like runs we have of like group artist producer outside of Lil Brother. You know, like you have people that primarily do the beats. Like, you know, Q-Tip would do beats, but Q-Tip was also an artist.
Right.
So he had a different involvement than just a producer. So it's kind of interesting to see the landscape and the people that he mentioned because it's like, well, yeah, they all follow the same story, which is started in a group goes crazy, and then we end up in a fallout, and then here we are.
Right. Which, I don't know, I think that puts a sour taste into the mouths of folks that want to be artists and want to start a group. There's always this thing in the back of your mind where eventually the group is going to dissolve, and that's a self-fulfilling prophecy, I believe.
Agreed.
And you encourage that. So we was like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. By show 10, we in Chapel Hill, you DJ that show, and then basically you just pick up and do the last 35 days on the tour. That was the arrangement. This fucking tour, right? The documentary backstage that came out. I see tour as that.
Biggest security problem right now is keeping the artists on the tour with us from pulling all the girls backstage.
Nah, I wasn't that. We're on an RV with a pimp, a real pimp, a guy named Late Night Billy, an artist named Z-Man, an artist named Encore, and ID. We didn't know any of these people when this tour started. I had to learn to sleep sitting up. We're sharing one hotel room, me, Tay, and Doe, and every night we switch in between who got a bed versus who got a cot. But it was an experience I'll never forget. We did that first run, I think like 10, 11 days or whatever. And we came back to Carborough. We're in Chapel Hill. Me, Tay, and Doe got together, had a conversation, and was like, Knife can't come out here. He's not built for what this experience is.
I don't know how they reached that conclusion without him being in the conversation.
Agreed. But and it's like one of those, like, give him the opportunity to have the experience to see if he changes versus telling him how he's going to respond to this experience.
Exactly. Like, let him be him. They may be right? They may be right that, like, it's not for him. But I feel like this is where the relationship goes wrong. It's because they exclude him from the conversation about a group that he is officially in.
Yeah. And you are already making decisions because it's like if you said, hey, this is a big opportunity for you. I encourage you to go and do this. I go and do it. Then I come back and it's like, nah. Or I'm about to come back and it's like, I don't really think you can do this. Well, what do you think of me and what do you think of me in regards to this group? Like, if it felt like you want me at your beck and call, but how you want me to be?
Yeah.
And then when I'm listening to the situation you set up and my stock is rising because I'm spending time, separately because I'm not just sitting on my thumbs, now we got issues.
Yeah. I think the tour started around the time that, like, he was working with Jay, and so I don't know. I feel like they fault him for not being on the tour. So I feel like we're already talking about our last point. They fault him for not being on the tour, and that's not cool. That's not okay. And the reason why it's not okay is because he's busy. And any growth for his brand as a producer is a growth for your brand as a group.
If you are a group, in the way that you say you are a group.
Right.
So
but this lets me think. This makes me think, and maybe you think the same way, that they weren't a group to begin with. They just asked Knight to make some beats.
That's kind of what it feels like to me. And I think that's what also, and because of their dynamic, I think that what leads to our next point, which we were about the label not knowing how to market them. But if you don't even know what your configuration is and how you want to work it, I don't know how they would have been able to market it anyway. Yeah. Because they're coming at it from the perspective of seeing what Ninth had been doing. Like, we got the producer in your group has placements here, here, here with stars that are here. Like, So what's going on?
So this is my issue with this, and I'll talk about that after we watch the clip. I'll unpack my issue with that.
Okay.
Right? The documentary Backstage that came out. I see towards that.
Biggest security problem right now is keeping.
It's the wrong tab. Sorry. Is this the right tab?
I think he understood the vision.
I hadn't dealt with artists as sophisticated, as funny, and as intelligent as them. Sonically, the label was very receptive. There was a marketing challenge.
You have us, a group that was discovered, for better or worse, via the internet. Their internet department had like 2 people in it. That's basically what a label is now, but in 2004, it wasn't.
Because social media was not a thing yet, you just had to rely on radio, video. Things were more traditional then.
For a label to say we need a single, I mean, the singles at that time, it was, it was the snap stuff was going up. It was kind of ringtone kind of records, you know what I'm saying, that were going off at the time. And, those records were fine, they were cool, but me and Pooh trying to make a record to compete with that or to fit into that, like, we would look like fucking idiots.
So here's my issue with this. I don't think any label that makes billions of dollars on an annual basis, and that wasn't this situation at the time, right? Because you got the internet, you got Napster, the industry was struggling. I just think when your value to the market is millions and billions of dollars, you don't have an excuse as a professional to say, I don't know how to market individuals.
Especially not when you have a unique product.
Especially in that time with that unique product. Because at that time, Kanye West was winning. Had already won with Jay-Z. Ninth was working with Jay-Z.
Wayne was winning in his secondary, like his lyricist bag. Like,
yeah,
this is Carter 2.
Carter 2, yeah.
Like we're not acting like Joe Budden was a couple years later, but still within that time, like around when they were about to release like the Minstrel Show, which means he would have been in like the Clue circuit and Clue tapes and stuff prior to even getting the album that got him noticed by Jay-Z. De La?
But they were signed to Atlantic Records, right? So they were signed to ABB, and then Atlantic is their parent company. And in my opinion, you don't have to worry about the internet. The internet is not what's keeping you from being successful. The social media not existing is not what's keeping you from like executing on this marketing plan. I feel like that's a fucking excuse.
Yeah, I agree.
Because like even without social media today, I would know how to market us, and we're in the same boat as those individuals.
Yeah.
And when you only have to rely on radio and video and those types of things, could you not put them on a press tour? Could you not like put them in front of late night shows like Conan O'Brien at the very least? Because Conan was huge at this time. Could you not have them do not singles from the record, but like have them do new singles and collaborate with individuals that Ninth was working with?
Yeah.
Could they not do a collaboration with Jay? Could they not do a collaboration with somebody that's on Rockefeller? Could they not do a collaboration with somebody that's already on Atlantic and it have that little brother feel?
Could they not have? Because by this point, when they started working with Atlantic, they were working on the Minstrel Show. Given the tech, like now, I know that there probably would have been some like maybe lawsuits and stuff from UPN, but there's a lot of promotion stuff within the jokingness of that we would have eaten up as consumers.
Yeah, I think living out. I think that they made some excuses for not being able to promote.
I just think they wanted quick cash versus understanding that it's like you had a unique product. Unique product is majority of the time the best thing to sell because you know that you have something that no one else has, and that's how you promote it.
They got 4 mics in the source, and that's not by accident. It's based off of what talent they already had to begin with.
Right.
And so I think you just lean into that as a marketer. And so I don't know. I feel like with my marketing hat on,
the biggest excuse is the fact that 2 years after they released the album, you know who came next?
Kanye.
Lou.
Oh.
On Atlantic.
Got it. But that's not a good example because they use the same excuse for him.
But either way, but I'm saying like Jay executive produced that album, and also so in that
based off of my example, they could have leaned into the Jay connection.
They could have leaned into the Jay connection. Hence why 2008 was cool. So Food and Liquor is somewhere in there. But anyway, Atlantic did what they had to do, and then you took the chances. There are many singles on the Cool.
But Kanye West popping off at that time is a blueprint, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Hey, I see what you did there.
Yeah. I do that all the time.
Good point.
I don't know. I don't want to belabor the point. I just think it's important that was something. So I think the last part we can talk about is the fall off, because I've already talked about like their connection with my experience with them.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how they fell apart.
So we finished this tour. I know you're gonna still be on the road. When I get home, I'm gonna start working on the next Little Brother record, and I'll send you ideas. And then when you get home, obviously we can finish up records. And I looked at him dead in his face. I was like, nah. When I get home, I want to work on the next Pooh record. And I think at that point, that was the window for him to be like, okay, I ain't doing this no more. Like, I'm done. Like, this LB shit, like, I'm done with it all. Like, I'm done. I was like, oh shit, okay. Like, what? Little Brother was over.
First Little Brother breakup, and every day I wake up, somebody got a problem with.
But like, such a deep line, like deep the line in that part. If you think about like his ninth connection, like, you get what I'm saying? Like that, JB talking, but that's another story.
That wasn't his actual line, but I
but still close enough.
I remixed it.
But the funniest thing about this, when I got to this part in the documentary, or not funniest part, but the most sombering part, is you think about this moment of like real life communication or miscommunication and breakdowns, right? We went through it, and so many other groups go through it, where you just don't know what to do. Like, and it's all communication, but you don't know how to communicate what you don't know how to communicate.
I just don't understand why. They allude to it a little bit in this part. Like, Fonte understood later on, at least, understood how to market a Little Brother album and do it independently. Pooh didn't understand that later on, but I'm wondering where the breakdown comes in, where like, nah, I just want to go do a solo record, and I don't want to do a record with you right now.
I think it's again the thought process of, much like he said. So when you start groups, when we do all these things, like when we started rapping or whatever, we didn't know how to have conversations about what we really wanted out of this music industry. We had conversations about what we thought we expected, dreams we had, wanting to do this, wanting to do that, right?
Yeah, but I don't know how you can't do 2 records at the same time.
I think at that point,
because I would have never said to you that like, nah, don't go do a solo record because we gotta record.
You would not have said it. Okay, prime example. So when we first started, not us, but when after the second group, when we started doing mixtapes or whatever, right? So we did our first little mixtape that we had around high school, and we got all these comments, or I was getting these little side comments about like, man, why was this person on there? Why was that person on there? So then I went like a year after and was like, I want to do a solo record now. Because with slight influence from that, but also wanting to see what I could do on my own, like I just wanted to go and see.
Yeah, but I just don't understand why in their case, why he couldn't do that simultaneously. You can still go and see, but you can also do your group stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's where I feel like the breakdown in the relationship comes from, because I was like, well, Fonte, why are you reacting like this?
Yeah.
Like, can't you just let him go do his thing and then like and then record some stuff on the side? Or the other way around, like, Pooh, why are you acting like this? Can't you just go record your stuff and then record some Lil Brother stuff on the side too?
I also think it was because of what the intentions were with Lil Brother. So he could, like, I can go and do a Pooh record on, not independently, I can go and sign somewhere, which is what he wanted to do. Mm-hmm. It was the intentions of what are we going to do with this? Like, and he's like, I mean, you talking to me about independent stuff, like, I don't want to do that. Like, right. We still got labels and stuff that are coming to us. That's my expectation.
We still got a chance to be in this system.
Yeah, like, no, I'll go do this. And then, like, in his mind, I'm going to do this. And then we can come back and have another conversation about how we can go to these labels.
Right.
And it's like, I'm done with that, especially for Fonte, who had seen the other side of that. Like, you know, if it wasn't for you, I would have never thought about independent anything. Mm. Because it just didn't make sense. It seems like the most unsure thing ever.
Well, I think with independence, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And the same thing with labels. You don't know what you don't know. But with independence, you don't know even more. At least with labels, you can see that there's an outcome.
Yeah.
Because you can witness the outcome. You can witness the TRL, the 106 in Park interview. You can be like, oh, okay. Once I get signed, I can go sit with Sway and sit with this person. Yeah. With independence, you like, I don't even know how to start that conversation.
Right. And the biggest issue is not having a plan before you go there. So if you go to a label, if you don't know, okay, like they were saying earlier in the doc about, like, you know, there could be a 10 album minimum or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that 10 albums, bro, that might be like 12, 30, 20 years, like with how they trying to drag it out. But if you don't know that, or if you don't know how to like leverage it like they did, or leverage to, well, this is the money I want to make. This is how I'm going to invest in myself. This is the leverage I'm going to take to the next thing. Like that 4 mics meant something, which is probably a lot of why they were able to get the deal that they had. So I don't know, man. It was so.
I think this is a great doc.
Yeah,
I think that Lil Brother is iconic. I think they're legendary. I'm sad about the reaction. I want to know how Ninth feels.
Yeah, same.
So there's still some questions lingering out there after watching this. Like, I feel like they were very cryptic, and then they were cryptic in the interviews that they had afterwards. So I don't know. I struggle with why Lil Brother can't be Lil Brother even in 2024.
I do too. I want to ask you a question though.
Yeah.
Being a producer, do you think that there's a way to find that happy connection of a producer in a group to where like all three parties or the parties involved, because it didn't have to just be three, the parties involved can be satisfied? Because if you're a producer, right, and you form a group, you want to be the primary producer for the project. Like, yeah, you might get some other beats from other people every now and again, but you want to be the primary producer.
Yeah, you're going to be the executive producer. And I don't know, because I've been in this situation, I've always felt like the executive producer leads the charge, even if I go collaborate with another producer to bring a beat in. Mm-hmm. Like, so if I go work with Turner,
yeah,
and do Marseille or Jam, like, even though I didn't add any extra stuff to Marseille when he sent the files over, it's still me orchestrating the mix. I'm still a composer ultimately, because I made this creative decision to add this record to the album. And so I think as a producer, where you find your place is by leading the art, leading the charge. I think where their breakdown is that Ninth couldn't tour, Ninth wasn't DJing. What else is he gonna do after he makes the record? And in my point of view, that doesn't fucking matter. You just make the records. You can go hang out or not hang out, but I don't feel like that's required. And it sounds like they thought it was.
Yeah, I it makes me sad because I really like that dynamic, and I especially like the dynamic of a producer who wanted to do that. You know how many producers
I think
don't want to do that?
Is Lil Brother.
Agreed.
And Fonte and Pooh by themselves is not Lil Brother. That's my opinion.
And I mean, it still sounds like he's there. You know, even on May the Lord Watch, I think we talked about this with the Ninth sound is still very apparent.
You can't escape Ninth sound because it even after their first project, his sound is still present.
Yeah.
And he still shows up in the second project, the Minstrel Show. I think he did a record that Lil Wayne was on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is one of the longest episodes we've ever done. Shout out to y'all on Patreon if you've watched all of this. I mean, if you watch 3 hours of Katt Williams, you can watch this hour of us.
Seriously, right?
But we appreciate you for joining us and letting us nerd out a little bit over a group that means a lot to the industry and a documentary that was really inspiring to me. We thank you guys for being here. Like, comment, subscribe to the video on this rush to 1,000 viewers and beyond. 1,000 subs and beyond. A one? Oh wait, dang it! I had the dope new one and I can't remember it.
You had a dope new one?
Yeah, no, we did it on the last one. It was a dope rhyme.
I don't remember.
Anyway, we'll see you guys next week. A 1 and a 2 and peace.